The neighbors always said that the Thompsons had the perfect lawn, and it wasn't just politeness. When you walked past the house at 1414 on Peckwood Lane, you would involuntarily slow your step. The grass there wasn't just green, it was emerald, thick, springy, like an expensive carpet. There wasn't a single weed on it, not a single yellow blade, not a single bald spot. It seemed as if every blade grew under an invisible ruler, creating a perfectly even surface. Don Thompson, a man in his 50s with a constant smile and perfectly trimmed gray hair at his temples, spent every Saturday on that lawn. He never hurried, never got irritated. His lawnmower, shiny as if just from the showroom, purred like a satisfied cat. He trimmed the edges with special scissors, pulled out imaginary weeds, sprayed the grass with a hose, admiring the play of sunlight in the drops of water. "Wonderful day for grass, right?" he would call out to the neighbors who were leaving their houses. They politely agreed and hurried to their cars, away from that perfect green rectangle. My husband and I, Lisa, moved to Peckwood Lane 2 months ago. We rented a small house across from the Thompsons. The first thing Lisa said while unloading the boxes was, "God, what a lawn they have. We could only dream of something like that." I just shrugged. I was more worried about the mortgage in the new city. But the Thompsons' lawn was impossible to ignore. It caught the eye, especially at night. The moonlight seemed to lie on it in some special, almost fluorescent layer. Sometimes, waking up at 3 in the morning, I noticed Don sitting on the porch and simply looking at his lawn. He didn't move, just sat there, and the white moonlight made him look like a wax figure. Lisa was the first to notice strange things. She spent more time at home, working remotely. "Mike," she said once at dinner, pushing aside her plate of pasta, "haven't you noticed that there are never any birds near their place?" "Who?" I asked, thinking about a work deadline. "Birds, Mike. Birds, squirrels, raccoons. There's always some kind of wildlife running around in our yard. Even that rabbit hopping over there. But at their place, nobody. The grass is perfect, but dead for everything alive." I didn't pay much attention to it then. I said maybe they used some kind of chemical that scared animals away. But a few days later, our cat disappeared, an ordinary gray tabby named Biscuit. He loved wandering around the yard, but always came back at night. That night, he didn't return. We searched all the neighboring yards and put up notices. The Thompsons also came out when they saw us. Don patted me on the shoulder, shaking his head sympathetically. "Sorry about the cat, son. Really sorry. But you know," he lowered his voice to a conspiratorial whisper, "if he died, his body will quickly become part of something new, the cycle of matter in nature, so to speak." He smiled and nodded toward his lawn. I felt uneasy. A week passed. We never found Biscuit. One Friday, returning from work later than usual, I saw Don. He was kneeling on his lawn. In his hands, he had something like a small garden trowel. He was doing something with the soil. I stopped the car, turned off the engine, and simply watched. In the twilight, his figure looked even stranger. He leaned down and seemed to whisper something into the grass. Then he took a small bottle from his pocket and poured something onto that spot. The liquid in the bottle was dark red, almost black, and thicker than water. The next morning, I decided to take a closer look at the Thompsons' lawn. I took Lisa's old binoculars and went into the backyard. From there, you could see a part of their lawn hidden from the street by a tall fence. I adjusted the focus, and then I saw it. On the grass, right at the edge, lay what had once been Biscuit, but it wasn't a body. It was a part of a body, a piece of striped skin that smoothly, without any tear, turned into green blades of grass, as if the cat had begun to become grass. The fur seemed to sprout thin shoots, and from the paws buried in the soil stretched roots. I froze. At that moment, Don's wife, Helen, came out of the house. She was as neat as he was, with a hairstyle that seemed unmoved by the wind.
She walked up to the place where the remains of Biscuit lay, looked at them carefully, then took out small garden scissors and, bending down, neatly cut off what was sticking out of the grass, something from the fur. She put it into a small bag, straightened the grass around it, and walked back to the house. I felt cold, although the sun was blazing mercilessly. I called Lisa. She didn't believe me, said my imagination was running wild because of the stress about the cat. But when I made her look through the binoculars, she was silent for a long time. "That can't be," she whispered. "It's just trash or something." That same evening, someone knocked on our door. Don Thompson stood on the porch. There was nothing friendly in the smile that showed his perfectly even teeth. It was frozen like a mask. "Hello, neighbors." His voice sounded a little higher than usual. "I saw you were interested in my lawn today, Mike. Nice optics, really nice. Do you like observing nature?" He was holding a glass jar. Inside was liquid, the same dark red, thick one, and at the bottom I saw something small and gray, a cat's ear. "This is a special fertilizer, organic, the best. Makes the grass just perfect. Want some for your lawn? It's a little weak." He held the jar forward. A sweet, nauseating smell of decay mixed with chemicals came from it. Lisa, behind me, grabbed my hand. "No, thank you, Don." I tried to keep my voice steady. "We're not really concerned about the lawn." "Too bad." He shook his head, still smiling. "Too bad. A perfect lawn is the key to peace. It never lets you down. It always remains silent. It takes everything bad and turns it into something beautiful. My Helen, for example, she is part of all this now, the best part." He gestured toward his lawn. "She never complains, doesn't grow old, doesn't leave. She's always here, with me. Just look." He walked to the edge of his lawn, bent down and stroked the grass. And then I noticed, in the very center of the lawn, where the grass grew the thickest, a contour appeared, blurred but recognizable, the outline of a human body lying on its back, hands folded on the chest, and from the place where the face should have been, two dark spots were looking at us, like eyes woven into the green carpet. Lisa screamed. Don straightened up. "Don't be afraid. She's happy. They're all happy. And your cat is here now, too. He doesn't wander at night, doesn't bring dirt into the house. He became part of perfection." He spoke about it as if he were describing a successful gardening discovery. That night, we didn't sleep. We packed the essentials, deciding to leave in the morning to my sister's place in another city, and from there look for a new apartment, urgently. We were afraid even to go outside. At 3 in the morning, when I looked out the window to make sure our car was still there, I saw him. Don Thompson was sitting on his porch, as always, but this time he wasn't looking at his lawn. He was looking straight at our window and smiling his perfect, dead smile. At dawn, we left the house. Lisa stepped on our small lawn first in front of the porch and stopped as if rooted to the spot. "Mike," her voice trembled. I looked down. The edge of our small grass, where it bordered the path, had changed color. It was no longer dull green. It had become thicker, juicier. I followed it with my eyes. A strange strip of perfect grass stretched from the Thompsons' fence, crossed our yard, and stopped at my feet. And then I saw it. Right under the bedroom window, from where we had watched Don, there was a small, neat patch in the grass. It had the shape of a human palm, and it was moving, slowly, barely noticeably. It stretched upward, releasing new, fresh shoots straight from our soil. Somewhere behind us a door creaked. We turned around. Don stood on the porch of his perfect house with a garden hose in his hands. The stream of water, sparkling in the sun, watered his impeccable lawn. "Nice morning for grass, right? Yours is starting to look not bad either. A little more fertilizer, and it will be perfect." And then I felt a light tingling in my leg. Looking down, I saw a thin green shoot breaking straight through my sock of my sneaker.